Welcome back, everyone. So today's video is actually going to be an archetype breakdown, and it's going to be about a new archetype that's in the next set that's coming out in about a week, Revelations, and that archetype is actually Blazewalkers. So Blazewalkers revolve around expelling themselves or being expelled by other cards and getting their effects, right? So let's walk through that. The first thing that we need to do is go through the core of the deck. So here are the core cards of Blazewalkers. We have 4 main units, which are Arc, Ray, Fang, and Leia. They're 2 commons, 1 rare, and then a super rare. And then the archetype also got 2 supporting spell cards, Blaze Striker Dive and Entreat the Blazewalkers. On top of that, they got a secret rare legendary unit, which was Rain, Blazewalker Commander. So you can only play 1 Rain in a deck. Now, we reviewed all of these cards individually in my Revelation set analysis, but I wanted to give you a full archetype view to see how they interact with each other, right? So, first thing to unpack here with the units. Almost all of the units share a similar effect. Arc is the exception, so don't look at Arc right now. Look at Ray, Fang, and Leia. So, at the bottom of their card text, they all read, expel 1 unit from your hand, expel this card until the start of your next draw phase. So they all share that ability. Rain has something similar, except you have to expel 2 instead of 1. The reason for this is because that effect kind of plays into the effect above it, and Rain's effect is a little better than the other ones. But anyway, with that being said, all of the Blazewalker units, now you can look at Arc, they have effects that activate when they're expelled. So, whenever they are expelled, they get this unique effect. Arc's, for example, is whenever it's expelled, you deal 1,000. Ray allows you to give quickness to a dragon or a Blazewalker unit. Fang allows you to reduce the cost of a dragon or a Blazewalker unit. And Leia allows you to target 3 other fire monsters in your expelled zone, and you return them to the deck and draw a card. Rain, on the other hand, whenever he's expelled, you reveal the top card of your deck, and if it's a dragon unit or a Blazewalker unit with cost 4 or less, you actually put it into play. But if it isn't a dragon unit or a Blazewalker unit, or if it's one of those, but the cost is higher than 4, you add the card to your hand anyway. So, you either add the card to your hand or you put it into play. So very good, and I think kind of obvious as to why it needed to be put to 1. But anyway, so with that being said, we do have those 2 spell cards that complement the deck. Entreat the Blazewalkers on the right allows you to expel a Blazewalker, so it's a instant tutor to anything in your deck. You expel it from your deck, and then you add the same card that you expelled from your deck to your hand, a same name. So the 1 card that's expelled stays expelled, and then you grab another copy and add it to your hand for a cost of 1. So that's very good. I think it's a great addition. It's probably really needed for this archetype. And then on the left-hand side, we have Blaze Striker Dive, which allows you to put into play a Blazewalker unit, either from your hand or expelled, based on its cost. So if you wanted to bring back Leia from your expelled zone, you would have to pay 2, and then it comes out. And then you also deal the damage of the power of that unit. So if you paid the 2 to bring Leia back onto the field, whatever unit it's in front of, it would then deal 1,500 to it. The spell cards are fantastic. In my opinion, Leia and Arc are really the only true good units out of the top 4 there. Rain is great. Obviously, you always play him. But those 2 cards are pretty much the only good ones. Fang and Ray are situational because they need other cards to make their effects useful, where Leia and Arc kind of do things by themselves. But Blaze Striker Dive is fantastic because it allows you to bring back the card that you banish for free and deal damage. And it's never really going to be expensive. I mean, if you want to bring back Rain, which is obviously a great choice, it's going to be expensive. But most of the time, you're going to be bringing back the Leia or the Arc for a cost of 2. So, great addition. I think Entreat and Blaze Striker Dive are instant 3-ofs. I think Leia and Arc are also instant 3-ofs, whether you play the deck as your main color or if you play it as a complementary color. Those are the units that you're going to want to max out on. And then Rey and Fang are going to be, your preference. But I would say Fang's probably a little more useful than Rey. But depending on your deck strategy, Rey could be better. But yeah, so that's the core. Now, on to some direct supporters. So these are cards that are actually not Blazewalkers, but they do help the strategy. So the first one is actually Bone Scavenger, which is an Argent card. So it's colorless. You can play it in any deck. So it's good to use if your color is complementary or if it's your main color. Bone Scavenger allows you to expel a target from either player's discard zone. So it's nice to be proactive and also reactive. And then it also allows you to pay 1 and expel a target unit from a discard zone, and then you place a 500 counter on it, which is permanent. So it's nice to play reactive whenever your opponent's trying to interact with their graveyard, but also it could benefit you because your Blazewalkers want to be expelled. So this is a fantastic card. It's a great 1-drop. And I think, again, this is an instant 3-of if you're going to be playing anything Blazewalker related. Fantastic card for the Archtype. The other top card to the right is Voidfire Dragon, which is something that came out in Expansion 2. And it reads, when there's a destroyed fire unit, expel 2 or more fire units from your hand whose combined cost is at least 6, and then you put that card from your discard zone into play, but you expel it when it leaves the field. So, that first effect is not great, but its ruined ability is nice. It says, add target expelled fire unit you own to your hand. So, for 3 cost 1500, it's not great, but if you banished Fang that turn, it can be a 2 cost. So, 1500 for a 2 cost is nice, and then a ruined ability to add a fire unit back to your hand is pretty nice. It can also be summoned off of the legendary rain unit if you reveal it off the top of your deck, so that's nice. A nice complementary piece. I don't know how many you'd play, but it is something to consider. So the bottom right card is Panzer the Draco Steed. It's a 5-cost unit. You can expel a fire unit from your hand and then return it to your hand if it was expelled. So if it's in your expelled zone, you can expel a fire unit from your hand and then add it back. And then it also has an arrive ability where you get to add a target expelled fire unit to your hand. So kind of just like Voidfire Dragon's ruined ability, you then get to add an expelled Blazewalker back to your hand to then reuse. So Panzer is, again, a very nice addition. I think one of the downsides to Panzer is it's not a 4-cost dragon, so if you reveal it off rain, you don't get its effect, which is a bummer. And also 2500 for a 5-cost is kind of weak. But anyway, it's another option for Blazewalkers as it kind of recycles them, which is nice. And then our bottom left card is Rain, but the champion version, and he's not a Blazewalker because he's a champion. But Rain is probably your top choice if you're building your deck around Blazewalkers, because each turn he can exhaust himself and expel up to 2 units to deal damage. So if you're sending something like Arc, if you're expelling Arc with Rain's ability, you're dealing 1500 by just discarding Arc. So Rain is the way to go if you're going to build your strategy around the Blazewalkers and not have them be complementary. So, now some key rulings, right? And it's going to be based around that second effect where you expel a card from your hand and then expel that card until your next draw phase. So let's walk through this. So the first thing is it's an activated ability, so it can be played on either player's turn. It doesn't need to be on your turn. Also, it can be tapped or untapped. So if you attack with this card and you break a tower or something, and then your opponent is trying to target your tapped unit to destroy it, you can then activate its ability to expel a card from your hand to expel it, to kind of dodge being destroyed. The second thing is expelling the unit from your hand is a cost. So after that is done, your opponent then has an opportunity to respond. So Leia would activate her ability, expel a unit, and then your opponent would be able to respond. If he doesn't have anything, Leia would then be banished. But with that being said, they can chain things like, Dust Strike or something along those lines where they're trying to clear it in response to that. So you kind of want it to be a reactive effect, so you can dodge things like that. The third thing is when the card is returned on your next draw phase, which is a bummer. It's not the end phase of that turn. That'd be much better. But when it's returned on your next draw phase, it's considered being played for the first time. So that means it can't attack. It essentially has summoning sickness, right? Which I think is a magic term. But so it has to wait another full turn. It's like it's being summoned for the first time from your hand. So that's a bummer. But it is something to take note of. And then the last thing is if there's multiple Blazewalkers that are banished at the same time, let's say you banish Leia and Arc, you can choose which way they resolve. So you can have Arc resolve first and then Leia, so you can target the Arc to send back to the deck, so you can get both effects, essentially. That's what I'm trying to get across there. So, the big question is, what's the best way to play Blazewalkers? And again, this is my opinion, so please, if you disagree, that's fine. Just don't say very mean things about me and how terrible I am if you disagree. But anyway, in my opinion, this is the best way to play it, which is Aragon as your champion and then Corona as your spirit, so you can play Blazewalkers as complementary. And the reason for this is because of the offering ability that Dark offers, ironically. But the offering ability, you have to expel units from your discard zone to get an effect. And usually this is a downside, but if you pair it with the Blazewalkers, you get additional effects. So you're basically getting added bonuses from something that's supposed to be a drawback. And in my opinion, this is the best way to play it. I don't think we have enough Blazewalker units right now to build an entire strategy around it, and we also don't have enough good dragons right now to build around the Blazewalkers to combine them. Now, again, that's my opinion. Someone might be watching this video and screaming like, "Zeppelin, you're an idiot. I know this, I know that." Maybe. And that's great. If you have that stuff, please let me know. But this is just based on what I've seen. Aragon allows you to speed up the deck, get those offering abilities online, or also just dumping your Blazewalkers into the graveyard to have them be there for whenever these offering cards crop up in your hand. And I think that's the best way to run it right now. I don't think it can be a main focus. But as a complementary piece to an Aragon offering strategy, I think it's very strong. Aragon is going to be legit. A lot of people think anything with Reprobloom in it is going to be, king, and they may be right. But I think Aragon has a real shot at being a top contender after Set 2 is released. But anyway, this is my little archetype breakdown. It's just some key rulings, some things that kind of go together, some combos, things like that. So if you like this video, if you want me to do more of this, just let me know. It does take a long time, so if it's something that you guys don't like, I'm not going to take the time to do it. But if you do like it, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and comment. Let me know your thoughts. I'm always wanting to hear from you guys. So as always, Zeppelin out.